Okay, cool. Great. Nice to see you.
All right, thanks.
Most know you as producer of the iconic Strokes album, Is This It? But you've worked with many of the icons, I believe, right?
Several.
Did you work with Pete Doherty or just the Libertines as a producer?
I was a live sound engineer for the Libertines on their very first UK tour.
How was that?
One of the most interesting and fun parties I ever went to.
I can imagine, yeah. I bet they were up to no good, huh?
They were just learning how to do that.
Right. I guess they were pretty young
They
back
were
then.
doing research in the field.
Sure they still are. And so, apart from Skunk and Nancy
Yeah.
and Regina Spektor,
Yes.
who else? Who have I missed there?
Ian Brown, Ian Astbury.
Oh, wow.
There's some good ones.
So that's the kind of stuff that kind of launched your producing career, I guess, back in the day.
Yes.
But I mean, since I've been aware of you, I noticed well, it was Facebook at the time, but and just your social media, you do a lot of world traveling
Yeah.
and you record a lot of smaller bands. I just
Yes.
wonder what you get out of that.
Well, for one thing, the Strokes and Regina Spektor were just unknown young musicians when I
Right.
worked with them.
Yeah.
And it launched my career out of a basement studio in New York to
Yeah.
worldwide attention and lots
Indeed.
of great opportunities. So it was not lost on me how that worked.
Right.
And interestingly, 99.99% of the people that ever contact me are just bands and musicians from little towns and places all over the world.
Mm.
Established artists never call my phone, never ring me up and ask me to produce something. So it's kind of my
Yeah.
karma, and it's my karma. I'm known for very strange music.
Yeah.
I'm known for completely like savant, individualistic composers who are working in their own universe.
Yeah.
And so somebody that thinks, well, I'm really interested in widespread popular fame. They wouldn't contact a guy that's known for making strange, individualistic,
Mm.
like I
Yeah.
do. But any musician or artist in the world that wants to be taken seriously on their own individual craft, they
Yeah.
call me left, right, and center
Yeah.
because they know I'm not going to mess with their vision and I'm going to do everything I can to like hone it, you know?
Sure. Because you have to believe in what they're doing
Yeah,
in
absolutely.
order to take it on.
I wouldn't want to work with something I didn't believe in or enjoy.
Yeah.
Just sheerly from a physical point of view, hearing someone's voice prattle on for hours on end that you couldn't stand, I'd
Yeah.
probably like start developing a rash or something.
Yeah, you can't fake that, can you? Oh
Nope.
my God. And how does that work? Because I mean, I remember seeing you've been off to Argentina or well, a lot Latin America.
Sure.
So these are unknown bands. Do they are you going out of pocket or do they provide everything for you, paying for your travel and expenses, everything?
As you know, I
Uh-huh.
charge extravagantly for my
There you
art.
do.
You know,
Yeah.
so they
Yeah.
say, "Oh, we didn't even know you'd return our Instagram." I said, "Yeah." And they say, "What's it going to take to get you down there?" I say, "Pay me my daily rate, a plane
Mhm.
fare, a place to
Yeah.
stay,
Yeah.
and let's do it." And they kind of cobble it together, you
Yeah.
know, six guys in the band, they could each chip
Right.
in, and I
Yeah.
get to work for them for a few days or something like that.
Yeah. 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 It must be a lot of fun and also kind of good for the soul that you're meeting so many new people. I guess
Uh,
that's part of what attracts you as
Well, for
well.
example, I just was in New York City
Yeah.
and I worked with 23 bands in the month of October.
Wow.
So let's say the average was four people in the band and a couple friends. I met six times 23 people in a month. And,
God.
it was good for my socializing and
Yeah.
my comedy skills and everything. And yeah,
It's a
I,
comedy, a good thing to have to keep
oh,
the mood fun.
I mean, a lot of my first influences were either comedic musicians or actually like people like Charlie Chaplin and Jerry Lewis. So
Uh-huh.
I realized that comedy can really help. People in music, they can be so tense and nervous about
Yeah.
recording their song and making
Hmm.
history and So you crack a few good, well-placed jokes, and they realize, okay, this guy's just like a fool, like us. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well,
it helps a lot. I mean, I've worked on some of your songs before, you do have a grain of humor within your music as well.
a grain for sure, yeah.
Uh,
And who are the comedic artists? Who would you think? Who would you describe as
Oh, someone like Frank Zappa,
right?
he was always talking about his music being comedy music, comedy.
Yeah,
He's making really bad, sarcastic things and playing with words, and
yeah, indeed.
especially a dark sense of humor or a little bit of a tasteless sense of humor. I like that kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. What's the ugliest part of your body?
Yeah,
The
for
mind. Yeah,
example. And that was one of the first things I heard when I was 10 years old. So
right.
it registered. That's how you do it.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Talking of New York,
Yes.
there's, I mean, I see lots of photos of you in bands, when you were younger with lots of makeup and outlandish clothes, and it seemed to be the
Heck
80s
yeah.
and 90s in New York. Is that right? In quite an arty scene.
Well, I started my career in the 70s in Seattle,
Hmm.
and I worked there in the 80s and the 90s. And then I moved to New York and I did some, detrimental stuff in the 90s and early 2000s. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Detrimental in what way?
Oh, damaging to society, to the proper morals and government of our great country, etc.
So that was the 90s by the time you made it to New York.
Yeah, as an adult. I was born there, but I
Yeah,
didn't I didn't crawl back until like the late 90s. Yeah.
yeah. And how does it compare to now?
Well, in some ways it's very different. In some ways it's very much the same. Like the crop of people that are there and the institutions and the shops and the club, everything's completely changed.
Hmm.
But the amount of fun and the energy level and the drive and determination of people to do stuff,
Yeah.
probably I ran into a lot of very intelligent and creative people there. So I think that's something that stayed the same.
That's interesting, because the last guy I interviewed is a young artist called Freddie Forbidden, and he'd just come back from New York as well. And he just said that people were much more embracing of the strange, and sort of
Yeah.
the British is something to like expect that from.
Yeah, there's definitely some cutting edge stuff happening in uh, kind of fashion and
Mm,
music, and
yeah,
things going on right now. It's a particularly good time.
yeah,
I put it down to the fact that very young people were really scared by the pandemic. Like it really impacted their social life.
yeah,
And so they're making up for it now by joining bands and doing performances and going out in
yeah.
public as much as possible.
So yeah, yes, you wrote a book about your experiences with the Strokes recently. How's that been received?
It's been received very well. It's not a million seller, but people write to me all the time and tell me they're reading the book and they really dig it. The people that are contacting me are like really telling me that they're enjoying it and they get my humor and they think it's interesting and maybe it's giving them great hope as a creative individual. It's about trying to be massively creative in a society that's continually trying to restrict our freedoms and
Mm,
put us in boxes and make us, work, you know,
indeed.
and so I think I like it when people take a message of like, I'm gonna, try harder in my art and try being more creative. I
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
Yeah.
And the name of the book again is
The world is going to love this. Up
that's
from
right.
the basement with the Strokes.
Fantastic by Gordon Raphael. Go and
Yeah.
get it. Who would you recommend as a band for, or a few bands for people to check out
I'll
at the
give you
moment?
one of my favorite bands. I made an album with them in Seattle recently. They're called Cab Ellis,
Hmm.
CAB Ellis.
Hmm.
And the album's called The East Coast Hold On. It's very cool music.
Yeah.
Another band I just finished working with, they're called TDA
Uh-huh.
in New York City. They're very good. And who else did I really like? Um, Laurel Canyon. They're a really cool band I
That
worked
sounds
with in
familiar.
New York.
Yeah.
Yeah. And another band I like, there's this band that comes from all over the world, but they live in the UK right now. They're doing really well. They're called Calva Louise. I
Okay.
think people should definitely check out their music.
That's great. So check out those, anyone who's listening, and I will do too. You are an artist in that you make art, fine art, you paint, is that right?
I do painting and drawing, but mostly I make my own songs.
Yes, indeed. You are your own, you make your own music as well.
Yes.
What do you think your purpose is as an artist?
My purpose is an artist. Well, when I was very young and came across some Hieronymus Bosch paintings, um, it kind of struck me harder than anything else about the capacity of human beings and what they can actually achieve. Like the fine detail and the crazy imagination that was presented in these paintings
Mm,
kind of ripped the lid off of like, this is what humans can do. You could
yeah.
draw fine things, and you can draw these
Mm,
crazy visions that no one's ever seen, like 400 skeletons burning down the world, done
yeah.
in the 1400s in oil paint, and it looks like it's really happening in front of your eyes. And as a
Yeah.
kid, I was going like, wow, you're kidding. Somebody took the time to do that and their hand could do it.
Mm,
So I think with my art, I'm continuing that. I'm trying to show people how you can use your imagination and how there's no limits and how absolutely goddamn enjoyable it is to go into your own imagination and pull something out and manifest it as an artist. Because I have like 1,000 songs, there's about 199 online. It just shows like I'm not bored. I'm just doing this. There's more to come. Like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
no end to this process. My
No.
dad told me that when I was a little baby, I cried a lot. And my
Uh-huh.
mom figured out that if she held me so that I was looking at a painting, I'd be quiet.
Did they encourage you to go towards art in that way because
Uh,
they saw it in you?
my grandma encouraged me when I drew little things with a crayon. She'd like clap her hands and like give me tons of praise. And I thought, oh, that's cool. You make a piece of art, and then people give you all this positive
Yeah.
reinforcement. That was a good
Yeah.
lesson.
Cool, man. Well, thank you so much.
You're very
Um,
welcome. Thanks for having me.
and what's your Instagram handle again?
Gordon Raphael, probably.
Gordon Raphael. Go and check it
Yeah.
out. His own music. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you.